Hello, everybody. Welcome to the interview with Kozan. My name is Mahaya, and we are preparing the seminar Silence of Eternity in May in Prague. And I would like to ask Kozan some questions and some information. What can it bring it to you? So, hello, Kozan. Welcome.
Hello, thank you, Mahaya. How are you?
I'm fine, and I would like to a little bit ask you if you can introduce yourself. And if you can say what are you doing on the seminars and what is your work about? What
Okay.
can we have for this?
Okay, my name is Kozan. Maybe a short biography just to set the record straight a little bit. I was born in London. At age 6 years old, I went and visited my father, Michael Barnett, in India, in Pune, where the ashram of Osho Rajneesh was. And even though I was so young, this had an immediate effect on me. It was clear to me that the spiritual search was something extremely important. And I visited Michael there every year for a while. Then I had a teenage period where I refused to consider anything spiritual whatsoever. I thought it was all a bunch of rubbish. I didn't want anything to do with it. And then at the end of that period, I went to visit my father again. And by that time, he had already become an established and recognized spiritual teacher in his own right. I went to visit him for 2 weeks, and I ended up staying for years and years, because even though I had previously sort of forgotten about spirituality, at least consciously, going to his community in Italy reminded me of what I had felt in India, and that was just how much more important the spiritual search is essentially than anything else. So I stayed with him for many years, became an integral part of his communities in Italy and France, and became his assistant in his seminars, and essentially learned the basics of his work from him at that time. I then spent some intervening years as a husband and father and guy with a job and a football player and various everyday normal things like that. And then recently I realized it was time for me to also lead seminars. So I've been doing that now for the last couple of years, either on my own or in a team of people. Last year we did 9 seminars throughout the year. The seminars that we do, how to describe them. I think one of the most interesting things about the seminars that I do or that we do is what a wide range of methods and teachings are included. We do, for example, a lot of silent sitting meditation. We also do a lot of guided meditations that use particular methods to awaken certain energies. We do body work where we work with the energy systems within the body and different parts of the body. And of course, we do direct energy work with people. And we use dance and music and interaction between participants. So I think the wide range of offerings in these seminars is one of the keys to their success.
Yeah, great. And what is the main, how to say it? What is the main focus, or what when I come to the seminar? How it is? What is it about for me? How can it help me in my normal life? For example, when I am somehow a little bit depressed, or when I am burnout, when I have some kind of a burnout. For example, I'm a mother with 3 small kids, and sometimes I feel really, really very tired. It is also okay to come to your seminar, or how can it help me in my daily life? And I don't have hours in my day to meditate or to sit in the silence?
That's a very important question. And the other side of that question is, I get a lot of questions via email or WhatsApp or whatever from participants. And the most common one is how to continue to bring the experiences from the seminars into daily life. So firstly, during the seminars, we always all have wonderful experiences of joy and love and expansion. We have probably realizations about ourselves psychologically, emotionally. A lot of physical rejuvenation takes place. Energy gets moved and cleared during the energy work. But these are just experiences in a way. And what's important is that specific changes, concrete aspects of one's life also become changed. But I have to say, often it's not clear why. For example, I recently heard from somebody who did a group with me, and they were very, very anxious at work. All the work colleagues that he worked with frightened him, his boss frightened him, and we didn't work directly on that during the seminar. We had a great seminar, and he wrote to me about a week later saying, it was all gone. He went into work that week and felt absolutely relaxed and fine.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of experience happens so often. To be honest, it's a little bit mysterious because in a way you would expect such a concrete result would be based in some kind of psychology or talking emotional exploration. We don't do so much verbal work. It's more that by clearing out your energy system, connecting with silence, connecting with your own stillness, perhaps finding a way to communicate with a deeper self in you, those kinds of experiences have a knock-on effect. That means that fears become lessened. Insights become stronger, clarity increases, and those things always end up affecting your daily life. And that's one of the things that I enjoy most about doing the seminars, is hearing these stories from people about really specific aspects of their life that have somehow become more flowing or easier after doing a seminar. That's always very rewarding to hear.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And now just it was more maybe the psychological level. And for example, if I have some pain in my body or something what hurts me in my body, is it also okay to come, or do you work, you mentioned that you do some body work and so on. So how this can help me on this physical level?
Well, we work with people of all ages and all types. And of course, most of us over a certain age have various physical limitations or niggles or things that are bothering us. And I have to say that very often, a lot of those do disappear after a seminar. I want to stress that I and the people I work with are not doctors. It's not a direct healing seminar, but most of our body's afflictions, not all, but most, come from stuck energy or psychological difficulties that we have, emotional blockages that we have. So when those things are dealt with directly, which they are in the seminars, then that in turn affects the body that is being somehow hurt or is in some form of suffering from these blockages. When those blockages are freed, then those physical symptoms disappear. And that does happen a lot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. I have another question because, for example, there are some people who are somehow experienced in sitting in silence or those things. Do I need any experience in meditation or spiritual work or energy work um, to be able to join or
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Sorry to interrupt, because I have had this question asked me a few times from new people. And in the old days, I think we didn't stress enough how user-friendly or beginner-friendly seminars are. And ever since we've started putting that out there or explaining that or emphasizing that, a lot of new people are coming to the seminars. Often we have a seminar where 20, even 25% of the people are completely new, at least completely new to our work. And they are always a joy to work with. And the reason why they immediately from the first day feel included is partly because the work we do, in a way, has a lot of it has the same effect, whether it's your first group or your 1000th group. And that's good for both sides. It means as a beginner, you are going to have some great experiences and insights. But even if you've done 100 groups before, you're still going to have fresh insights. So I think that's a very important part of it. The other thing is that there aren't a lot of ideas that you have to really understand. There are a few about what silence really is, for example, what is energy work, but those are things that are explained in just a few minutes. And even if you don't understand, for example, we always talk in English, and in most places we go to, most people speak good English, but occasionally people don't. However, in the Czech Republic, of course, we always translate throughout. Any explanations or introductions said by me will be translated, and that's very important in some countries. But my point is that even if you don't fully understand, once a meditation starts, once you start sitting, once the music comes, once the energy starts moving in the room, it doesn't really matter, because the work is not really so much on the mind level, it's on the other levels. So, and that level is as real for beginners as it is for veterans. The other reason why it's great for new people is that the veterans, the older people, and there are some people that come, for example, I go to Copenhagen next weekend, and there are people coming to that seminar who have done work with me before, but have done work with Michael for 30 years. They still have fresh experiences when they come to the seminars, and they are so welcoming of the new people. There's no sense of, we're the older people, so we're somehow special. It's all inclusive. Everybody is so welcoming. We are all kind of a team working together to find experiences, to explore different realities together. So that also means that for new people, it's absolutely a perfect kind of a seminar to do, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And the other side, if I will come to your seminars, may I go to another teacher?
Oh my God, I would encourage it. I mean, listen, I have studied for many years various kinds of Buddhism, a lot of Zen. I've studied Christian mysticism. I've studied Islamic poetry. I've studied Taoism in many different forms, including the I Ching, modern Taoism, ancient Taoism. I've studied different kinds of paganism and shamanism from many different cultures. The bottom line is that there's something out there. There is a reality that we can call God or the universe or what have you. It doesn't matter how you label it. It's about getting in touch with it in a way that works for you as an individual. So you find a teaching that works for you, or probably you find a mix of teachings that works for you. You find the right language and the right concepts, the right emotional response to things that helps you get more in touch with that deeper reality. Of course, we are here to explore, and exploring spiritual teachings is one of the most exciting places to explore.
Okay, thank you. I'm asking this because I remember when I invited one friend of mine, she told me, "Oh, it will be probably a really nice event, but I want to come because I am involved in another direction, and we are not allowed to come to another teacher or something." And in this time, I felt like that I've never felt this actually in those seminars with Michael. So I was just curious how you handle also this. And maybe I have another question, because you mentioned many directions, and also you mentioned Michael Barnett, like a spiritual teacher and your father. And maybe can you somehow tell me now how his work is involved in your work, and or how you how you use maybe his meditations, or what kind of teaching is it now in your in your uh, when you do it on your own, when you do it like a Kozan?
Well, firstly, in a way, I owe everything to that man. Not because he's my dad, I don't mean that, but as a teacher, although I mentioned all of the various teachings that I've studied over decades, the direct experience of Satori states, nirvanic states that I had in his seminars has completely transformed how I am, how I see everything. And so that's me personally. As far as the work I do, a lot of the work I do is very like the work that Michael does. I'm sorry that I don't remember the title of the book, but there is a book where he says specifically that when he worked with me in the seminars, he felt the exact same energy was in me as was in him. And when I first read that, it sounded a bit strange, but that was before I started really working with people. But I see that it is true for whatever reason. And I can understand that people might find it strange. Why would a son of a teacher somehow, I mean, it doesn't seem like the sort of thing you would inherit. But for whatever reason, the energy that comes to me when I work with people is very similar to the energy that came to Michael when he worked with people. So there are a lot of similarities. There are also a lot of differences. Obviously, we're different people in many different ways. So that is reflected in the work that happens. But I would say all in all that the work that I do, and also the work that I do with the Wild Goose teams that I do work with, is a kind of, the roots of it are very much in Michael Barnett's work, not just in the names that we use of the meditations, etc., but the whole energy that is there is definitely in contact somehow with his teachings and his work, no question.
Yeah, yeah. And now the seminar's name is The Silence of Eternity. How arise this name or this title, and what is maybe for you behind this Silence of Eternity?
Well, the naming is, I mean, so last year, I guess 7 or 8 seminars, whenever I have to name a seminar, when it's time to find a name, I either meditate and go blank, or I pick up a book from Michael Barnett, you guessed it, and look at least for some words from maybe a poem from him, and then meditate on the words and get a feeling, not just of the words, but of the theme of the group. Because it's not like the groups are super themed, but the titles have an effect on the work that happens in the seminars. We've seen that time and time again. So specifically, The Silence of Eternity was an interesting one because when it came, I didn't understand what it meant. Not really. Because I didn't, because the words sound nice enough. It sounds very spiritual. But what does it really mean? Silence is one thing and eternity is something, but the silence of eternity. So I took some time and really went into a space and tried to find why those words had come. And what I realized was that we use the word silence in many different ways, in English at least, but spiritually we use it for something quite specific. But actually there are many different kinds of silences. Having been involved in seminars for about 40 years, you know, mostly as a participant, but more recently as a facilitator, I've seen that the flavor or the type of silences are different. Yes, ultimately, you could argue that there is one absolute silence. But below that, all the different silences have different effects on us, feel different, taste different, if you like. And the silence of eternity is a particular kind of silence that I had felt in our last seminar in Czechia last autumn. It was a particular kind of resonance, a particular energy that was a silent energy that came somehow from a particular eternal place, not eternity in some abstract way forever, but some eternal place. Somehow at the center of the universe, there is an eternal place there, the core maybe of the universe or the origin. And there is a kind of a silence that comes from there or is there that we can actually in some way get in touch with. And it filled the room last time in the Czech Republic. And that came back to me when I meditated on the words. I realized that's why those words had come to me, was because of the experience I had in autumn in Prague. So that's what it means on that level, let's say.
Yeah, thank you. I just maybe mentioned because some days ago I was on skis. I was there alone without kids, and I was just, running through the forest, and there was some of the, the wind, and the birds were singing, and it was just for some seconds. It was not long, but for some seconds I had like, wow, this is the silence, and this is the silence of the eternity, like just like not really in me, just touching, and I was like, wow, and I was somehow really curious what can it bring when we will meet together with other people, because I always know then when it's something, it's great to be on my own and meditate on my own and maybe sitting in the silence or have some music, but then it's again a different level to meet with the other people. So, and I was so looking forward to again to meet the other people. So can you just maybe just tell or just say something about how the energy works in the group room when there are more people, when this group of not just just one or two persons, but how is the work when you work with more people together?
First, I would like to go back to the experience you had on skis. So arguably, given what we've just been saying, that experience you had was you somehow getting in touch with the silence that is in that eternal place at the core of the universe. But I just want to ask you a question. I know you're the interviewer, but so what effect did that experience have on you, if any?
It was like that the life is all right, that I am all right, and that I felt like the connection to some bigger space and something what is behind me, behind my life, behind the forest, behind the trees where they were around, and I felt I felt like something more behind the earth, like because when I am on the skis, I'm grounded. I need the balance and those things, and I felt that I don't have to solve the things, how to do the movements, and I could be just there. And I really love to go down, you flow somehow, and so I also felt that this experiences in your seminars or in micro seminars are really connected to my normal life, and I can and I just need the space for this. And for me, it's the space when I'm on my own, and sometimes maybe also with the kids, but I have to be aware of this possibility. And when I'm, for example, too angry, and or when I have many things to do, so there is not too much space, and I am working on in a different level. But when I can really little bit relax, and I don't have to focus on the kids and the things, and I can be on my own, and I can do something what I know, then there is possibility to connect with the space behind. And for me, it's like that I can be mother, I can go skiing, and also I can be part of these seminars. And it's I don't know how to say it. It's one.
Yeah, it's one. Well, exactly. That is the silence at the center of the universe, is the realization that it is all one. So you got a taste of that. That's wonderful. Beautiful. Yeah. I think nature is often a catalyst for this kind of experience as well. I mean, anything can create that sense of oneness, but it's easier in nature. That sounds beautiful. The second part of your question, I'm not sure I understood it, to be honest. You asked what happens in the room with the energy work when there are more than a few people.
Yeah. I think I can specify and why I am asking, because when I was asking, for example, my mother if she would like to come, she told me no, because I don't want to be there with the other people. So,
Fair enough.
so I would like, somehow to ask you, how do you work with the group of the people, or because some of the people, they are a little bit scary, or they are afraid that if someone is, I don't know, depressed, or is somehow really has got some strong pain. Many people, they are afraid that if they will connect with them on some energy level, that they will have it too, or they will take it also too. So so I just so maybe I can a little bit change the question or specify it, like, how do you work with the group of the people that they won't affect, if I will have the negative emotions, or I will be sad, I will cry, so that it won't affect negatively the other people, or how do
Yeah,
you work with this?
I understand what you're saying. So, firstly, on a practical level, in all the years that I have been doing seminars, one way or the other, I have almost never heard anybody have any complaints about such things. It's extremely rare. However, I can understand that people are concerned about that, especially if you have really a lot of people and you open yourself up, and you become, and we do become very vulnerable in those states. But I have to say this, that in the very first silence that we always have in every seminar, usually on a Friday, sometimes on a Saturday morning, a groundwork is created, a foundation is created that actually is in the room. It's an energy that is protective. And it's, people feel it often. They often mention it to me, that everybody in the room sits in silence, and it's like a soft blanket of energy comes in that is very protective of us all. So that's the first thing. On a really high energy level, never mind what we're thinking or what we're feeling, there's a lot of protection in the room. This always happens. The other thing is that when you are in any kind of silent space or awakened space, you are very strong in the sense of, we talk about the body having an immune system. We also have an energy immune system. As soon as you go into silence and I don't mean some massive earth-shattering oneness with the divine. I mean just some silence and calm. Your energy system is now awake and is very good at protecting you. So every individual, it doesn't matter who they are, has a protective system, like an immune system, from the energy level that will protect you.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly do not think there's any reason to be afraid of, bad energies or evil energies or anything like that. You can accept whatever you want. From my point of view, I always anyway open myself to all the energies in the room, even if they are a bit negative or angry or whatever, because I don't like to say no to people's energies. I like to somehow integrate them and work with them, because if somebody's putting out difficult energy and you come at it with compassion and you care about them, then already that caring starts to transform the difficult energy they have.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I think that there are many layers of protection for in the seminars.
Okay. And may I just ask you, because me personally, I usually had the experience that the energy of the other people somehow supported the energy in the group room, or that the energy was stronger than when I am meditating, on my own at home. So how
For
this
sure.
can
Yeah.
uh,
Do you know?
have,
Yeah. Do you know what? So the word in English, exponential, or maybe another way is when you have a mirror reflecting a mirror, which actually in my background, there is one. When a mirror reflects a mirror, you get more than two, right? Because in this mirror, you see that mirror and itself. And that's how the energy works. When people sit together, the energy is multiplied and multiplied and multiplied by the people there. That's why it makes such a big difference to meditate with a group of people. I'm sure at some point science will be able to do interesting studies about how many people create what kinds of energies. But when you sit in a room with people who are meditating and going into some form of silence, it fills the room so much, and it is something that becomes almost tangible. You can feel it, and it means that the silence is much easier to welcome into yourself when other people are doing that around you. So that's a good point. And that also, by the way, goes back to the question just before about protection, is that even if maybe one person in the room of 30 people is having some difficult energy, the other 29 people are putting out silence and compassion and oneness, and this is much bigger than any amount of bit of difficulty that might be in the room.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And just maybe one of the last things, may I ask you, you mentioned that you have done some seminars in Copenhagen and in Belgium, and may you just mention some feedbacks of the participants from the seminar, because you said that in the last seminar in Copenhagen there were quite a lot of people there. So can you just somehow say what the people are saying about your seminars, or what they have from the seminars? What is their experience?
Okay, a good question. I don't know how long I have to answer that. It could take a while, but firstly, every individual in a way has a different experience. Of course, there are levels where it looks everybody's having a similar experience, but because we're individuals, everybody has a different kind of experience. And what's interesting is during the group, people give quite different feedback than after the group. During the group, it's all about the experiences that they're having. We spoke about this at the beginning of the interview, that these wonderful experiences of love and light and things like that. I mean, of course, they are beautiful experiences to have, but they, in a way, they are just experiences. What's always, in a way, more touching for me is the emails and messages afterwards, where people the insights that people gain about themselves, about their patterns, about the way they behave, or the things that simply become easier in their life. You know, for example, often people who have difficult relationships, or let's say, sorry, a relationship that is in a difficult stage, one of them comes to the seminar and then goes back, and I know both of them. And then I hear from both a week or two later that their relationship is flowing and beautiful again. Not because any particular advice maybe that I gave or some great idea about how to deal with relationships, but just because the person who came to the seminar experienced some divine energy or a sense of oneness. And that meant that when they went back home, they're coming from a more open, more accepting, more flowing place. And that makes the other person see that as well and feel that. And then the feedback is that, wow, it's so great that our relationship is now back to this beautiful flowing way that it was before. So I think that I can go on about the different things that change in people's lives after seminar. And sometimes I'll get a message many months afterwards, especially if somebody only does maybe one seminar a year. 9-10 months later, I get an email saying, ever since the seminar, you know, this has been completely different in my life, or I'm finding my relationship with my children has changed radically since then, and it's still going strong. So I will come again to your next seminar. So I think that the feedback, or what touches me about the feedback, is how wide ranging it is and how there are these positive effects on people's lives simply from coming for a weekend and sitting in silence and listening to some music and having a bit of energy work. It's amazing to me still how effective and powerful this simple and relatively simple work is, because in a way the seminars happen by themselves on some levels, and yet it affects everybody who participates, or nearly everybody. And I mean really nearly anybody. It's rare for even one person out of 30 people to not somehow be affected. It blows my mind. And I just want to be clear. It's not really much to do with me in a way. I'm not trying to take credit for this. This is something that happens partly when you get a lot of spiritual people in for a weekend together. Happens when people open up and allow themselves to be vulnerable. And it happens when, I guess, ultimately, Michael's work, the energy work and the silence, is still in all of us. But even in new people, because that silence is universal, it can be awakened in them too. So it's really something quite miraculous to me still. And sometimes I try and understand it, and sometimes I think I don't need to really try and understand it. I just do what I can to help it happen.
Okay, so can we say that just the energy goes through you on some level and you just allow it?
Yeah, I mean, that's something firstly, everybody can do that. Everybody can completely open to the cosmic energy or the divine energy. But maybe practice helps. Maybe being around other people who are able to do that helps. So for whatever reason, during the energy work, it is very easy for me to stop thinking, stop talking, in a way, stop being me, in a way, and allow the divine energy simply to be there in me. And then sharing that with the people that are around me. That is something, it's not like I did some, I don't know. I'm trying not to take credit for it. It's not something I studied years and years and worked really hard for. It's just something that happens mostly by itself, for which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I think I have no questions now, and I'm just now really looking forward to meet you personally.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Again in the group room and be there together. It's absolutely fantastic. So, do you have anything what you would like to say, maybe to the as a conclusion or to the end of our interview? Do you have there something?
Okay. Well, here I am doing an interview saying this, but self-promotion is actually very hard for me. I'm not comfortable with it generally as a person. Maybe that's a limitation in me. Maybe there are things I'm afraid of, but I just find it hard. But I would say that I know, not from myself and my own perspective, but from so many feedbacks from people, that these seminars are so deeply valuable and helpful for people. And I have to say, if I try and be as objective as I can, and never mind that I'm involved, I would recommend them to everybody I know. As I used to say when I used to go to Michael's seminars, I always try to bring people because they are in a way unlike anything else to some degree. You can have experiences in these kinds of seminars that are really unique and really worth it. So I recommend them.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Kozan. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm really looking forward to meet you again. And we are really open to welcome there everybody who would like to join us, to join the group room, and to join the wonderful healing energy there. So
Thank you. See you soon.
see you.
Bye.